Hello, everyone. My name is Julianne Meyer. You are watching Own Your Wellness, and today's show is all about the word no and how insidious it can be and how it can stop us in our tracks. And we are all used to hearing no and saying no, but what I'm kind of really focusing on is the fear behind it, and also when we say no without even realizing we're saying it. For example, how many times have you, I don't know, turned on the TV or scrolled social media instead of choosing a yes to something else? See, not choosing is also saying no. So saying no to something more important. Anyway, so I think it comes from the idea of rejection. And I mean, nobody wants to be rejected. Nobody wants to feel unwanted. Nobody wants to feel all the uncomfortable things. And in fact, our brain wants to keep us safe from feeling those uncomfortable things or things that it deems uncomfortable. We might even be looking forward to it, but our brain wants to keep us safe. So we end up saying no to a lot of different things. Well, the first time I ever really invested in a coach, we're talking, it was so expensive. Now I don't think it is, but at the time it was more than I could technically afford. I actually went and got a loan so I could pay for it because I was on a very fixed income. I was working for somebody else and there was just no chance for me to make any more money. And it was one of those rock and a hard place situations. Either, I needed to do it, but I couldn't afford to do it. So I made it happen. And it's probably definitely one of the top maybe 5 decisions I've made in my life. And the reason why is because it really showed me a lot about who I was being and how I was showing up in the world and how many times I was saying no without realizing I was saying that. So my coach, his name is Alex Mill, and he wrote a book called A Shift to Love. He's written many books and he's done so many wonderful things, but the one that changed me, it was A Shift to Love, and that's how I ended up reaching out to him. Anyway, he introduced me, and I should say introduced, not in like the physical sense, but got me to know of a man. I hope I'm going to pronounce his name right, but it's Jiang, and he did 100 days of no. And the whole point of him doing that was he was this really not really he was a successful businessman, but he had this fear of hearing the word no. So he went out and he started doing all these crazy things just to hear no. So he could sort of like desensitize himself from the word no. So, I mean, he did all kinds of crazy things. I'm actually going to show you guys a clip that he posted on YouTube of one of the, it's called rejection therapy. One of his videos is something that he did. But he went in, one of the things he did was asked to drive a police car, pilot a helicopter. He went into Krispy Kreme and asked them to make a donut in the shape of, what's it called? The U.S. Olympics. There's all these things that he did. And one of them was to ask to play soccer in this guy's backyard. So I'm going to play that for you guys because it's kind of fun, and we'll get more into the conversation after you watch.
Well, this one's a little bit risky. I'm going to ask someone to open up their backyard and for me to play soccer in it. And we'll see what happens. Hi there.
Hi.
Hey, this is for a special project. Do you think it's possible for you to take a picture of me playing soccer in your backyard?
Playing soccer in my backyard?
Yeah, it's for a special project.
I guess so.
You sure? Wow. Okay. Didn't expect to say yes. Okay. Can you just take a picture for me? I'll give you my phone and I'll just take a picture and you.
Okay.
That sound good? All right. Wow. Why do you say yes?
Why did I say yes?
Yeah.
Because it was really so off the wall. How could I say no?
I like that. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Scott. Really appreciate it.
All right, you too.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
Wow. Not only I didn't get shot at, yelled at, or get the door slammed on me, Scott was kind enough to let me in and take a picture of me playing soccer. It was just me holding, using my foot to hold the ball more than playing, but I'm very happy that I got another failure. All right, on to next day.
Okay, so I wanted to show that clip for a couple of different reasons. And one of the reasons is because he felt the fear and he did it anyway. And I know we've talked about this, but there are some very basic emotions that we all feel from time to time. And for him to sit there and do it anyway is just a testament to possibilities. He didn't, he made himself vulnerable. I know it sounds silly, but can you imagine? You don't know who this person is. You're just walking up to some stranger's door. Like you said, he didn't get shot. He could have been shot. Who knows? There's so many different possibilities. And of course, that's where his mind goes to. Would he likely have ever been shot? No, not likely. But of course, that's where his mind goes. So my point of showing that was, one, he still got what he wanted because he went for it. And two, he imagined the absolute worst, and none of that came true. Absolutely none of it came true. So it's kind of fascinating how we sometimes will just say no because we're trying to protect ourselves, yet the answer could have been yes all along. So on that note, we are going to go to a commercial break. But before we go, I'm going to say welcome to everybody who's watching us live. We truly do appreciate you being here. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about, fear, of course, but also, how to kind of jumpstart the criticism or the getting over the fear of criticism and that sort of thing. So we'll talk about that when we get back.
When drug or alcohol addiction take over, things begin to disappear. Your friends, your family, and eventually, you. Recommended by Dr. Phil, New Method Wellness can help get your life back with individualized treatment plans for dual diagnosis clients. New Method Wellness provides the most highly credentialed treatment in a safe and welcome environment. Call New Method Wellness for your free consultation and ask about our national accreditations. Together, we can put the pieces back together.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us now, we are talking about the word no. Why do we dread it so much? It's not always a bad thing. It can actually catapult us into different things. If we can reframe the idea of no instead of making it mean something negative, it could really help us, really embrace all of life. Because, and I know I've mentioned this in the first segment, but our brain is set up to keep us protected. And so when our brain senses any sort of danger or anything uncomfortable, it wants to keep us safe from that. And so something it doesn't understand, something new, or something that you've had a negative experience with in the past is going to bring it forward. It's going to remember those things in order to work as its biocomputer, as the biocomputer that it is, and do the work as in keep you safe from that. But we all know that hearing no is not the same thing as putting your hand on a hot stove. It's just not the same thing. But our brain can't tell the difference. So we really have to work with our thinking in order to create a different reality for that world to be to experience life more fully. Now, something that I talked to and touched on before we went to commercial was about how this this no thing, this whole idea of no can be kind of secretive. It can pop up. I mean, obviously we might say no flat out with our voice and with our words, but what are our actions saying no to? How about the times when you swear up and down you're going to eat healthy and exercise, fill in the blanks, read, meditate, all those things, and then something happens, you fall off the wagon, or you'll start tomorrow, and it's always tomorrow is a day away, one of those kinds of situations. So that's a way of us saying no to ourselves. How do we stop doing that? How do we embrace life? Well, one of the best ways that I've really learned and just sort of reframed things, because I had this really, I'm going to tell you a little secret. I have this really nasty habit since I work from home most of the time, and I get up really early. I have a ton of time, a couple hours before my day officially starts. And I would get into this habit of sitting down to watch TV while I was drinking my coffee in the morning. And then I end up leaving the TV on, and I'm just not as productive for the day. Even though the night before, the day before, all these things had always intended and planned on starting my day with, gratitude. I mean, I still do that no matter what. But I'm just saying, for example, with meditation, with journal writing, and all these things that I know are going to set the tone for the rest of the day, that will actually empower me and bring me closer to my goals. So, but then it's like easier. It's easier to just sit down and turn that on, or sit down and start scrolling social media, or sit down and start reading the news, stuff like that. And it was just this really nasty habit that I picked up. And I'm going to call it a habit because I would do it without thinking. It was easier. I knew I'd be entertained. So that's really why I wanted to do it more than anything else. But I started asking myself this one question before turning on the TV. Will this bring me closer or further away from the day that I want to have? And so instead of shaming myself and swearing I'm going to start over tomorrow, there are times when I might say, you know what, I don't really give a crap. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to scroll social media while I'm drinking my coffee. And I let myself have those days. But now 99.999% of the time, I start my day the way I always said I would, because my ultimate goal is to have a really fabulous day. And I know that if I start doing the same sort of lazy bones habits that are so familiar, so safe, and so comfortable for me, then I am not going to have the day that I could have had I just said what I know and done what I know works to make me happier, healthier, and have a more successful, beautiful, fruitful day. So that was me saying no without saying no, me saying no to myself. And it can be so, like I said, so sneaky. You don't really realize. How about the times where you say yes to your friend's party, even though you know you have something that you need to be doing that is important for your future, because you feel this sense of obligation? Well, that's saying no to the rest of your life. That's saying no because, I don't know, like your friends, your family should understand if there's some place that you would rather be, or something that you would rather be doing, or something that really genuinely needs to be done. Now, I'm not saying you can give up your relationships or stop cultivating them, but I am saying that there are those times where you're like, oh, I just don't want to. And we still do it anyway because of this sense of obligation. Well, we're saying no to ourselves. We don't want to deal with the fight. We don't want to deal with the criticism. We don't want to deal with all of those things. So, I mean, it is just It's not always easy. It's not always easy to say yes. For those of you who maybe you've read this, maybe you haven't. Oh my goodness, it is such a good book. It's called Yes Man. And I'm not referring to the Jim Carrey movie. That was, I don't think I even saw the movie all the way through because I thought the movie, because I read the book, I thought the movie was really dumb. And I really, truly enjoyed the book because it's based on a true story. This man decides he's going to say yes to everything that's asked of him, literally everything. And his experiences were quite profound and scary at times, but he really did say yes to life. So I do recommend reading that book because it's inspiring and it's entertaining too, because the way he shares his own story is very funny. And before I forget, there is somebody else that I really want to mention that you guys should check out. Her name is Linda Sunshine West, and she did her own experiment for a year. She was afraid of life, afraid of, whatever, just fear in general. And she was tired of feeling the fear. So she did a year of doing something every single day that made her fearful or scared. And I thought that was a brilliant thing to do because it really does help take the sting out of and change your relationship with fear. Now, one of the things that I asked her when I interviewed her, I've had the honor and the privilege of interviewing her a few times. But one of the things that sticks out in my mind, I said, did you do something different every single time? Or did you have to do the same fear a few times? I mean, what was it like? And she said, yeah, sometimes I did the same fear over and over again because it didn't go away. It lessened, but it didn't go away. Or if it was still a trigger, in other words. So it's not that fear's ever going to go away, but your relationship with it can definitely change. And I wanted to talk a little bit about your relationship with criticism. So instead of me just sitting here being the talking head, I'm going to share another video with you guys that I found that I think is very important. So we're going to share this now, and I'll see you guys in a few minutes.
Hey, this is Derek Depker, founder of ExcuseProof.com and author of the best-selling book, Breakthrough Your BS. Have you ever held back on sharing a message or an opportunity or something that you can provide for people because you worried about other people's opinions? What if they criticize you? What if they call you an idiot or think you're stupid? I know for me, I've held back plenty of times on sharing my message or worried when I'm writing a book, what are people going to think about it? And we all have something that we can offer people, a recommendation for something to check out, or we have a business, or we have a message, or we have our story. And the fear of criticism or negative opinions creeps up and can hold us back from really playing full out and giving our gifts to the world. In this video, I'm going to give you a radically different way of looking at this situation to help you overcome this fear and break through any resistance to giving your gifts to the world. So imagine for a moment, we have two people. We have Mr. Green over here, and then we have Mr. Red. Now, Mr. Green is a hard worker. Mr. Green wants something more out of life, but Mr. Green is suffering because Mr. Green needs something, needs an insight, needs a lesson, maybe needs a product or a service to help him out. So this could be financially suffering, this could be suffering in his health, it could be suffering in his relationships. There's all kinds of things that could be causing Mr. Green to suffer, and maybe even physical life might actually be at stake. It could be that bad. And then we have Mr. Red, who's not necessarily a bad person, but really is discontent in life, and there's not much you can do for him at this moment. It's just not happening for him, not taking personal responsibility, and it's just going to criticize anything that comes along. So you have these two people. Now, imagine you're just an observer of this situation. You're just step back looking at this, and maybe you're even like a magic genie, and you can grant one wish. So you have this power to grant one wish. Now, whose will do you want to be done? Do you want to see Mr. Green overcome his challenges and get the gift that he's been needing, get the thing that's going to save his life? Or do you want Mr. Red to basically just sit there and not have anything change and have nothing show up in his life, and basically things just keep going as they've been going? Well, if you have any sort of heart, I think you're going to look at this situation and be like, yeah, I totes want Mr. Green to get the hookup and get the gift that he's been looking for. Okay, now let's look at this even a little bit different from that. Let's say we have a gift here. This present will help Mr. Green, but it won't really do much of anything for Mr. Red. Okay, so obviously if it's just put on the table, you might go, well, yeah, that's great. Let's just let Mr. Green get it and Mr. Red can pass on it. But let's switch it up a little bit. Let's add a little bit of drama to it. Let's say the delivery truck pulls up outside of Mr. Green's house and drops off this present that Mr. Green has been dying to receive. And Mr. Red sees this, and Mr. Red is kind of an a-hole, okay? And he goes, no, I don't like that. I don't like that Mr. Green's getting this present. I'm going to take it. Mr. Red goes up to the door. You know, the gift is sitting outside Mr. Green's house, doesn't know it's there yet. So Mr. Red goes and he grabs the gift and runs off with it and steals it, robs it from Mr. Green. And Mr. Red doesn't even want the gift, he's just going to chuck it in the trash can. Right? Now, how would you feel about that? How would you feel if that happened? Imagine you saw this. Imagine you knew who Mr. Green was and you see the package dropped off and then you see this a-hole come up and grab the package and run off with it and steal it. And you know that he's stealing this gift from someone. Would that piss you off? Would you maybe get a little bit of adrenaline going and want to chase down Mr. Red? Might you actually go chase down Mr. Red and take the gift back from him and say, hey, you can't rob that from Mr. Green, and you'd want to go back and give it to Mr. Green? Okay, just get those feelings going. How would you feel? Will that piss you off to think, how dare Mr. Red steal that gift from Mr. Green? Now, let's say you come into the picture. This is you with your gift. You have a choice in either giving your power and granting the wish of Mr. Green and giving your gift to them, or Mr. Red. And here's what happens. If I give my power to the person who wants my help, that means I'm going to put my gift out on the table. I'm going to say, this is what I have to share and offer. And I'm doing it because, yeah, I know there's someone who might not care for it, but Mr. Green needs it. I'm doing it for Mr. Green to give my gift to him. But here's what happens. If you let fear hold you back, if you worry about what Mr. Red's going to say, then you don't offer your gift. You say, I'd rather let Mr. Red win, so to speak. I'd rather have their will be done. Why would anyone want that? Why do you want to give your power to the people who are just angry or upset, or just maybe they just don't want what you have to offer? Why are you going to worry more about them than the people who do need what you have to offer? And if you really think about it, if you give your power to Mr. Red, and it doesn't matter if there's a lot of these people out there who are angry or just don't like what you have to offer, does it matter how many of them there are out there? Because what happens when you give your power to them by holding back through fear, it's not just that you rob yourself. It's not just that you don't get the level of success that you want in life. It's not just that, if I don't share my message, maybe I'm not going to make as much money or be as successful and have all the things I want. What you're really saying is, I'm letting them make the decision to rob the gift from the people who really need it. See, you're the one who's actually robbing the gift. You're the one who's seeing the gift being taken from the person who need it, and instead of chasing them down and grabbing that gift and saying, hey, no, that's for Mr. Green, you're just going, oh yeah, that's cool, you can rob that. I know that you're stealing that gift from them. I'm just going to sit here and let you do that. Only it's even worse because it was your choice. See, on some level, you actually robbed Mr. Green of the gift. How does that feel? See, when I look at it like this, if I can take my ego out of the situation and just step back as an observer and go, who do I want to help? Do I want to try to make these people happy? Or do I want to make the people who are actually open to receiving a gift that I have to offer happy? Because At the end of the day, I'm just going to have to put it on the table and let the people who want it get it, and the people who don't want it, so be it. I'm only holding back if I'm worried about their opinion of me, but if I don't even bring myself into this situation, it doesn't matter. So what if they think I'm an idiot? It's not about me. It's about helping Mr. Green. It's about helping Mrs. Green. It's about helping all the people who need your gifts. So who are you going to give your power to? Are you going to give your power to the people who need you to help them move forward? Or are you going to give your power to people who are trying to hold you and everyone else back? It's your choice. This is Derek Depker. If you want more tips and insights on how to break through your BS, you can check out the book Break Through Your BS at breakthroughyyourbs.com and check out excuseproof.com. Love to hear your comments. Please share. Take care.
All right. So I wanted to share that video because it's a good illustration. It's a good illustration, but the way that I like to think of it is you are the gift, not necessarily the little butt with the smiley face underneath the gift. Anyway, no, I just liked the idea though of really understanding that no matter what you do, you're not going to please everyone. And as I mentioned a million times, I'm going to mention it again. My favorite quote is from Epictetus, and it's, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. And I'm always talking about how I've done things in the past and people make fun of me and they think I'm crazy and they think all these things, but I do it because I know it's what I want and I don't really care what anybody else thinks. And then by the time I'm successful with it, they're asking me how I did it, how they can also do that and how they can reach their goals and how do I stay motivated and how do I fill in the blank? How did I do it basically? So, if we're afraid to say yes because we're afraid people aren't going to like it, people aren't going to accept us, there's always going to be somebody. They're just not your people. That's all there is to it. They really aren't. It took me a long time to even want to do a TV show because there's people from my past life, and I don't really want to name names or, name where I was working or anything like that. But I knew that they'd have a lot of comments and I knew they'd have a lot of negative things to say about what I'm doing and, basically making fun of me. And it kept me from doing what I needed to do. And for a long time, but I finally said yes to me and to not really paying attention to what anybody I don't really care about says about me. It's made a huge difference in my life and so much easier to say yes to the things that maybe I wouldn't have said yes to. I wouldn't have started Achieve TV if I had said no to life because I'm not sure what I'd be doing or what it would look like or how big it was going to get or how much time it was going to take or how much money it was going to take. If I had said no, I wouldn't have started my own network. And it's such a great opportunity for me. And, because I said yes. It's really as simple as that. But anyway, it is time for us to go to yet another commercial. But before we go, hello again to everybody who is watching us live. You are very much appreciated for being here. And then also when we get back, we're going to talk about how to change your relationship with hearing no and how to turn it into a positive and how maybe no isn't actually what we've been, conditioned to believe it is. All right, we'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back, everyone. Before we get going on the topic of conversation today, I did want to mention something important. Because I have taken on this new role as TV network president, I have decided to change the show up the format another time. We are going back to interviews on both Mondays and Thursdays. And the reason why is, one, I think it's more interesting for you guys because I'm just sort of like a little talking head, and that's not always the most interesting thing. And then the other reason is because it's taking a lot of time, to plan these things out. And I really want to give you guys the best show. So that's where we are with that. And also, if you are interested in having your own TV show and you think you have something of value to share with the world, I would love for you to reach out to me. You can reach me at ownyourwellness.net or at Jules Ann Meyer. That's JulesAnnMeyer on Instagram. And I will respond to you as fast as I can. Yay. But anyway, so we were talking about no and, our relationship to it and how you can't please everybody and all of these things, and how, no can be really sneaky, and how not making a decision is also a way of saying no. And there's something that, I really think is important about actually saying no to people is, yes, we need to have a yes mentality to life and, be open to the flow of things and opportunities and people. But there is a line where you do say no. Is it costing you more than it's giving? Or is it an even exchange? And so what I mean is you get a lot of coaches out there, or healers in particular, a lot of healers in particular. I am one, and it took me a long time to get over this. We tend to be bleeding hearts. We want to help and serve everyone. And whether or not they have the money or the means to pay us. And the thing that I've learned about that is, well, number one, I'm not really helping somebody if they're not willing to invest in themselves. So it's really just a waste of my energy. So what I'm getting at is, even if you're not a healer, even if you're not a coach, what are you saying yes to, thinking it's doing a good deed, but it's at the expense of yourself? And you're really actually not doing the other person or situation any good. It's okay to say no to people when it's not in your highest interest. For example, I know some people in the addiction world that will say yes to a celebratory drink here and there, even though they don't drink anymore, and they're non-drinkers because of their addiction issues of the past. I'm not trying to put anybody down, and a lot of these people that I'm referring to have never gone back to drinking full time. But what I am saying is it's not in their value system to say yes, but they did in order to fit in, to be comfortable, and all of these things. So where are you in your life doing that? Where are you trying to fit in your life? That's something that I really want you to think about, right? Because when you say yes instead of no to things that will drain you or aren't in alignment with how you want to show up in the world, then you're not doing yourself any favors whatsoever. And you're definitely not doing whoever you're with any favors. It's definitely a misnomer. All right. So we are going to be talking about like the upside of rejection. And I found a wonderful clip by Jay Shetty, and I'm going to share it now.
I think we're programmed that when we hear the word no, we're programmed to believe that that's negative, right? No is seen as a negative in our minds, in our brains. That's how we make that connection. We never connect the word no to a good thing. If you're walking through somewhere and you want to go into a shop and someone says, no, it's closed, it feels like it's a bad thing. If you're applying for a job and they say no, you feel like you've been rejected. But actually, no, when I reflect on it and I look at it in hindsight in my life, and I'd encourage you to reflect on it in hindsight in your life, think about all the times you've heard no and what new door you've opened because you heard no. All the times you heard the word no were actually openings to somewhere new, and you found another way. And I think that's the beauty, that we live in a world today where there are literally multiple paths to your goal. When I hear the word no now, it's feedback that I'm not ready yet. It's feedback that I need to work more. It's feedback that I need to become more smart and clever and strategic about what I'm doing. And I love that because it's feedback.
All right. Love that guy. It seems that most of my favorite people are former monks. Anyway, so something that I was thinking about when he was sharing those words of wisdom were the old saying, rejection is protection. Or, the idea that just because we don't get what we want right away doesn't mean it isn't for our greater good. So I love to share this story because I think it's really accurate, and it's really carried me through life and when things haven't gone according to plan and I feel really, really bad about certain situations. And that is about the time that my parents divorced when I was really little, and so I don't really ever remember them being together. And my dad married my stepmom. It'll be 40 years in June, so that's how long they've been married. Anyway, they wanted to buy a house in the town over, and it was perfect, and there was no reason in the world why it shouldn't have worked out. But for whatever reason, the universe said, nope, not going to work out. And I remember being completely devastated by this because something that's always been important to me is to feel a place of home and, comfort where I can go and feel safe, because there's very few times in my life where I've actually felt safe somewhere. And this place felt like it was going to be that, but they didn't get it for whatever reason. And then about a year later, my mom died. And I remember one of my first thoughts after, of course, the major, thing of her passing away was, oh, thank God they never got that house, because not only would I have lost my mom, I would have had to change schools and leave all my friends and my entire life as I knew it. So that no was a blessing. And I think about when I first moved to California and I was waiting for this job to become available for me. And I was trying to apply to all these other jobs that I really felt were below me, honestly. Even at a fast food joint. And I couldn't even get a call back. And anyway, the thing is that I waited for this job, and long story short, at the very last moment, it was taken away from me, even though I did all of the things and that I was supposed to do. And I'd been waiting months and months and months for this job to become available. It was promised to me. And I was devastated because it was a friend of mine that did this, and it was not anything. I did everything according to the way that they asked, but I still was, they still decided not to hire me. Anyway, I ended up moving to San Clemente, which is a little ocean town, beach town right by in Orange County. And before I was living in Menifee, which is over the mountains through the woods to Grandma's house we go, far in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, I ended up working in a place that was literally 2 doors down from the job that I was promised. How weird is that? And it turned out to be a real blessing, because the person that I was supposed to work for ended up being arrested and charged with all this stuff, like insurance fraud and all these things. And my whole life would have blown up in the most negative way. So what I'm getting at is, even when it hurts, sometimes rejection is protection. So it's okay if the answer is no. So why do we make it such a big deal when it is no? It's because it's not what we want. It's not what we thought, and it's not what we were hoping for. But there's so many things like that. So whenever you are, and this is my suggestion, whenever you are concerned or feeling bad or worried about no, become okay with playing out worst case scenario and realize that, hey, that's probably in my best interest anyway. So that's what I would do, because that's what I have done, and it's made a huge difference. Now, the other thing, and as I mentioned before, that I think is really important that we do is to really change the way that we look at our choices. And what I mean by that is, it comes back down to like, I'm going to use the TV thing because that's always been a bane of my existence. Or how about cheese? Because I have this major addiction to cheese. If there's cheese in my house, I'll think about it until I go downstairs and I'll eat it in the middle of the night because I know it's there. I'm not even hungry, but I'll eat it. And it's I've actually asked my fiance to hide cheese if he buys it because I don't want to know it's there. That's how bad the addiction is. But here's the thing, like, I've learned that it will not help me with my health goals. It does not help me with my sinuses. There's so many negative things. It doesn't matter how much I love it. So if I'm going to actually decide to consciously choose something that's not well or not a good choice for me, then I'll do it when we go out for dinner. I'll do it then because if I have one cheese in my, like a meal or something, then it's okay because I've only done it one time and I'm not going to sit there and eat an entire block of cheese at home. So there are ways to do that. But my point, though, of sharing that was that ask yourself, is this really helping me get where I want to go? Like, who is this person that you want to be and how did they show up in their life? I don't know too many successful people who spend their time, their entire day, or a good majority of it, gossiping, watching TV, scrolling social media, and unless the news is your business, watching the news. I don't really know anybody that's successful that makes these their daily habits, or people who, eat super unhealthy. How are you supposed to be successful if you don't take care of yourself? If you can master food and not let food master you, then you have the key to the universe. Most people struggle greatly with that one. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, we are going to go back to one more commercial before we go, or before we end the show, and we'll be back in just a minute.
Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
All right, we are back. All right, so we've been talking a lot about no and being afraid of it and what we can do to change our perception or our relationship with fear, the fear of no, one way or the other. It's either saying it or hearing it, right? And I don't know about you, but I've definitely experienced both of those. But you'd be so surprised at when people say yes. When I've been training people how to do their own TV show for a little while now, And I always say make a wish list of the people that you want as guests and don't be afraid to reach out to them. And they're always surprised because I've never had anybody be rude to me. There's only one person that I was kind of surprised at how short his answer was, but I don't really care one way or the other. It's just, the answer was no, and that's okay because it wasn't meant to be, or it wasn't the right timing. That's the other thing too. Maybe it's just not the right timing. It's not right now. So what I wanted to touch on was, how to say yes to the things that are important to you and how to know the difference. Especially women, we have this idea that, most of our life is some sort of obligation. Like we have to take care of our kids. We have to take care of the house. We have to, and I mean, these are all things that are culturally set upon us. And I am saying this right now. I know things are changing, but I am older than a lot of people, or at least that people think I am. And this is kind of how my experience has been growing up. And I've never followed it, but, it's just been like an expectation. And I don't know if it's 100% society as much as it is something that we'll put on ourselves as humans, like decide to take over and take care of something. But women, we do tend to have a nurturing nature, and we do want to take care of things and people. So of course it would make sense that we would want to take care of our kids. But the thing is that, we don't really sometimes take care of ourselves. And my mom, she had this, and it really hurt my feelings. And I still am not 100% sure how I feel about this, but something she did that I appreciate now was that she used to go on vacation by herself without me and my brother, and I guess sometimes, my stepdad or whatever. She would go by herself. She would do these things and live her life. And I don't know if it was because she had like this, knowing that she was going to die young. I don't know if it was just selfishness or whatever. But the thing that it did teach me, and it wasn't selfish to do something for herself. There's other aspects of that relationship that I'm not mentioning. And this is the part that I want to highlight that I respect her for, was that she made time for herself and gave herself what she needed in order to be there for us. In theory. So, I really love and appreciate that she broke with tradition and broke with, what's expected of her and did her own thing in order to take care of herself. So what can you say yes to that is going to be your highest good? Maybe it is saying no to things that you've said yes to in the past. Like when I quit drinking, I had to say goodbye to quite a few different people, places, and things that no longer served me. It was hard to say no. It was hard. I felt like I was missing out on things. But in order for me to become who I needed to become in this next iteration of myself, I literally had to say no to so many different things and people. And it is okay to say no to good things because you want something great. It is 100% okay to pass up a fabulous opportunity for something else that's even more fabulous, even if it hasn't come your way yet. For example, I was recently invited to write in a book, and I think it's a fabulous opportunity, and I would love to do it. And I also understand that right now, timing wise, I don't have that bandwidth to give to the book. So for me to take on this wonderful opportunity that, I would love to say yes to, it means I'd have to say no to something else, something that is important to me, something that, I wouldn't necessarily want to say no to. I've made commitments to people and things that I will honor those commitments no matter what. So that's kind of where you got to think about, like, it's okay to say no, because when you are saying yes to something else, you're saying no to another thing in your life. There's only X amount of hours in the day. So what are you choosing to put in them? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be great? Or is it going to be obligations? How are you letting no affect you? Is it going to be a positive or a negative? So those are some things I want to leave you with and keep, thinking about is, how are you allowing no to impact you negatively? And how can you change that into something positive? And also, how hearing no is not necessarily a bad thing. Like, we decided it's bad. Why did we decide it's bad? I don't understand why we do that sometimes. So that's what I want to leave you guys with today. We do have an amazing guest on Thursday, Simone Lecomte. And we're going to be talking about, she's opening up this brand new gym, which is really exciting. And it's like all AI and super cool. But she is an amazing health coach, among other things, plus entrepreneur, business owner, all the things. And she is kind of a geek like I am when it comes to nutrition, health, and wellness. So we're going to be talking, I'm going to be picking her brain for you guys. All right. Well, that is all the time that we have for today, people. So thank you once again for joining us. And as I mentioned before, maybe you might want to try saying yes to becoming a TV host. Why don't we talk about it? I've got a 30-minute Calendly link at my website that we can talk about possible show ideas and you joining the Achieve TV team. Go to ownyourwellness.net and click on I think it's the top option. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your week, everyone, and we will be back on Thursday.